I'm coming back from a chalet this weekend. I spent the entire weekend, watched the fight on Saturday. I came back last night, so I'm sorry I'm a bit late to the news. I'm a bit late to the party, but I wanted to cover the UFC 313 pay-per-view. It was a great fight night. But before I do that, I do want to say this. I forgot to say this in my last video, but I do want to give a big, huge, humongous thank you to all of the guys that showed support. I rewatched the comments and you know the support that you guys showed on the video I posted on TFB Stocks a few days ago when I announced that the entire collection of the videos on the Fighting Business YouTube channel was gone. So much support. I've never had that type of support even on the main channel. It never happened. So I want to say a huge thank you, because that means a lot. A lot of people are like, what can we do to help you? And like, just the fact that you guys are showing support is already enough to me. You know what I mean? I love what I do already. You know what I mean? I want to do this, and the support just makes it easier. It shows that my work is being enjoyed and is interesting to some people, and that's really the only reason why I do what I do. So I wanted to say a big thank you for that. And then let's just get into the fight nights. The pay-per-view UFC 313 that was Saturday. It was a great pay-per-view. I have a few takeaways and things that I wanted to point out, but especially for the main event. But I'll cover the fights and give my thought on the fighters and what happened, and also think about like the predictions, because for Bobby Green, King Green, whatever, against Mauricio Ruffy, I predicted Mauricio Ruffy to win by second round KO or TKO, I think. He got it done in the first round, and from the opening bell, I think we could clearly see that Mauricio Ruffy was just a better fighter. I think he clipped him maybe 30 seconds in with a right hand or left hand and just rocked Bobby King Green. Can I just say Bobby Green, bro? Bobby Green just flows much better, all right? I'll say Bobby Green, bro. I'll get canceled for that shit. I don't care. Anyways, I think Mauricio Ruffy was just doing a better job on the feet. Obviously, he has the power advantage, but I didn't know he would clip Bobby Green that fast and that early on in the fight. I thought, like, especially early on, Bobby Green is pretty elusive. Usually he's fast, but he got caught, early on. And I think, it just shows like he's getting old. I think the reflexes aren't there. But what's most important about this is like his chin. I think Bobby Green's chin, unfortunately, is gone, because even though that was a flush, a back heel kick, I think that's how we call it. It's not a spinning back kick, because usually a spinning back kick is like with the front of the foot to the body. You go spinning back kick to the body. I think this was a spinning heel kick, but the spinning heel kick landed while Bobby was like kind of moving with the angle of the kick, if that makes sense. So it didn't land like as he was coming into the kick. He kind of was putting his elbow and turning his head around, and then the kick landed at that same time. So it didn't land super flush. It was a clean kick, but I don't know if that would have knocked out Bobby Green in his prime. You know what I mean? Green's never had the best chin, but like, you need a solid chin if you want to compete in the UFC. And even before that spinning heel kick, he got rocked with like, I don't want to say a weak shot, because it's definitely still hard, but I don't know if getting rocked with like just a right hand. I think that's what he landed. Early in that fight is a good sign for Bobby Green, especially after the amount of knockouts and the late stoppage against Jalen Turner. Yeah, that's my main takeaway from this. Hopefully Ruffy gets a big fight coming up against like maybe a bigger star at lightweights, because he definitely deserved it. That was a great performance, and there's a lot of hype around him now. When it comes to Bobby Green, I don't know if there's, oh my Lord, I just remember this. Holy shit, they removed him. I think they removed him from the UFC. Holy shit. This is what I'm seeing on Reddit, but you guys can see here, the comments are like, he has not been released by the UFC, likely removed because of the suspension. That's crazy. I don't know if that's true, but I'm watching a video here of Bobby Green reacting to his knockout. Let's have a listen to that.
This is the game we play. There's wins, there's losses. This is how it goes, Shout out to Ruffy. You did your thing, brother. I'd like to see you have success in your future. Obrigado. And shout out to everybody that rocked with me and came through this whole thing, man. I love all you guys. I thank you so much for supporting me through all this bullshit. But we're not done, you know? Felt like I just need some more time to get myself back used to being in the cage. We'll be back. I promise you that.
I don't know about that one. Listen, I love Bobby Green a lot, and I think he's a super entertaining fighter. But if you're gonna be the type of fighter that fights with his hands down and like takes so much risk the way Bobby Green fights, you need to have a chin. And if you don't have a chin anymore, and that shit you can't condition, you can't work on chin anymore. If it's gone, it's gone. And for Bobby Green's style, it's just the worst thing possible. So, I mean, hopefully he's still in the UFC. I think maybe that was because of the suspension. Hopefully he's still in the UFC, but I don't know if I would recommend him fighting again, to be fair. He probably need to fight like a very low powerful guy, maybe like a grappler or something, or maybe like a, you know, what's this guy's name? The guy that fought Pimblett earlier in his career, who does the twerking stuff. You guys remember him? Like a really weak striker like that, Ryan Hall. I don't know. That's the type of fight that Bobby could win. Like, he can't win a fight anymore against a powerful striker. I don't believe so, but that's my opinion. Lemos versus Lucindo. I don't have much to say. I picked Lucindo, the young man. I don't know if you guys heard that. That was kind of funny. Bro, they're not taking them seriously, bro. I don't even want to not be hyped for this. It's not like it's a women's fight, I don't like it. It's not that. When there's an important women's fight, I'm hyped to watch it and I want to cover it. But it's like, do we care? Like, why is this here? Why is this on the main card? Like, I think it's important that like we let these women fighter build themselves up, because by putting these this fight right here on the main card of a stacked pay-per-view with like Bobby Green below them, it just like, I feel like it creates a hatred for the fighters before they even get the hype. You know what I mean? If there's a fighter that deserves and is worthy of being on the main card, like, let them earn it. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Once again, it was kind of a boring, dull fight that went to the decision, and I picked Lucindo. It was Lemos. I don't know how she keeps winning. She's 38 or something, still doing her thing. So shout out to her. But like I said, I think these women's fights should not be on the main card. They should be on the prelims until someone's earned it. Someone has a great performances. Someone's get some cool knockouts, some great clips. Then we put them on the main card and we're hyped to see her fight. You know what I mean? This is not the case here. That's my opinion on it. Jalen Turner versus Ignacio Bahamondes. That was also a great fight. I think Jalen Turner, I don't know if he mentally checked out. I know, and I saw some news about him retiring. I hope he's just saying it because he's emotional, because he's like 29 years old, bro. He cannot retire yet. You know what I mean? I think it's crazy to say that. Maybe he could go up to welterweights, get a fresh start over there, but he definitely didn't look like himself in there. He definitely looked like, I don't know, the same hunger in his eyes wasn't there as much. And I think maybe the last few performances took a toll on him, just, losing those heartbreaking fights against, the split decisions. Those were tough against Gamrot and then against Dan Hooker. And then that performance against Moicano was also a tough one. I think it didn't look like mentally he was in the right headspace to be fighting. And Bahamondes had a great submission. So I don't know if it was more about Ignacio Bahamondes' performance or Jalen Turner just lack thereof, So I hope he doesn't retire. I definitely picked Jalen Turner in the prediction video. I thought he was going to outwork him on the feet. But Bahamondes, they engaged in some grappling position and locked in the submission that felt like Turner could have escaped. You know what I mean? It was not like it was a slick, super fast, quick reflex submission or a super fast triangle choke. It was just there. It happened slowly, and Turner just let himself get hooked into it. So I don't know. I think Turner needs to take some time, but he needs to come back. He cannot retire off of this performance. I think that would be a dumb decision. There's so much potential with him. So yeah, Justin Gaethje versus Rafael Fiziev. That was the co-main event of the night. It was a great performance from Justin Gaethje. I didn't expect this type of performance. It looked kind of similar to the first fight, in my opinion, but I leaned much more towards Gaethje on this one. I think Fiziev had a much better case of winning that first fight. It was maybe a little bit closer. I don't think you can make an argument for Fiziev in this fight. I mean, he got knocked down, and then even the third round, he was kind of getting back to it, but late in the third round, Gaethje put on the pressure. He looked good, man. He looked refreshed. It was great for him to take that time off after the Holloway fight because his chin could have been gone. You know what I mean? We talk about Bobby Green in this video. This is what happens when you get knocked out multiple times. You don't take the right time to recover. You come back early. You get knocked out. This is what happens. So Gaethje took the right decision, took his time, and came back a year after a devastating knockout, and his chin looked good. He looked refreshed, didn't get wobbled or rocked. He was, like the type of fighter that he usually was, and I said this in the prediction video. I said, I think Gaethje does well against short, stocky brawler because he stays composed in the chaos. He's able to be in there and stay relaxed and not go crazy, and that's exactly what happened. It was another one of those like brawling style of fight, and Gaethje one-upped Fiziev, and yeah, kind of like I expected. And it's going to be fun to see what we do with Gaethje because there's definitely some opportunities for him. I don't know if the Makhachev fight makes sense yet. I really think they should do Poirier Gaethje right now. I think they should do Poirier Gaethje for the trilogy. If Gaethje wins that one, he can go on to fight for the title, and that could be Poirier's last fight. I think if Poirier wins that fight, Gaethje should retire. But it could be like a pretty, they're 1-1. It's an interesting fight. It's always fun to watch, Gaethje versus Poirier. I think it's the fight to make at lightweight. I don't think giving Gaethje a title shot off of one win, that's not enough. Yeah, it's just watching, him getting slumped a year ago by Max Holloway. It's just like you cannot get one decision win, and then fight for the title. I don't think that makes sense. I think it should be Arman Tsarukyan. It should be Charles Oliveira. It could be Ilya Topuria. Those are guys that make much more sense. If they give Gaethje a shot, I'd be a bit pissed, to be fair. Not that I don't like Gaethje. I just think he needs to earn it with one more fight. And yeah, even though like I know he took the Max Holloway fight, and it was kind of like a big ballsy move for him to do that, but he did take it and he did lose, and it's like that's just the scenario we're in right now. So yeah, that's my take on it. And Fiziev, for him to take that fight on 10 days notice, it was still a very impressive performance. So he can take some time, recover correctly, and then come back. And I think he'll still be very dangerous for the lightweight division in the future. Keep an eye on Rafael Fiziev because I think he'll be back. And then for the main event, Alex Pereira versus Magomed Ankalaev. Listen, I had a usually when I do these after the pay-per-views, I kind of just want to talk about one main storyline of the fight. But this pay-per-view was pretty good, and I think the main storyline still came out from the main events. And I think what it comes down to is Magomed Ankalaev's hate is so forced. And I know he's not the most exciting. He might not be the most entertaining fighter in the world, but he did exactly what he was supposed to do, and he clearly won the fight. You know what I mean? I can understand we can have a discussion. We can have a bit of a, we can talk back and forth about it, but I think Magomed Ankalaev on paper was the better fighter on Saturday, and it was pretty obvious. And so for people to call robbery, you know what I mean? Like robbery should not be used when it's a close fight. I hate when people use that term. It was a close fight, but I think it was pretty obvious for Ankalaev. But people are still calling it a robbery. People are calling him, the most boring champion in the UFC when there's Bilal Muhammad on the roster. Like, come on, guys. Like, let's do a better job at that. I think Ankalaev, he just had a knockout against, one of the best knockouts against Johnny Walker, that Looney Tune, knockout. Maybe that's just Johnny Walker being Johnny Walker, but, Ankalaev has had some pretty decent fights against Ian Cutelaba. That was a great knockout as well. He's had decent performances. He's had knockouts and TKOs in his career. He definitely has also a few decisions, but, it doesn't make him the most boring fighter in the UFC, in my opinion. Now, do I think the UFC benefits from this? I don't know, because Pereira is definitely a big star. But what I wanted to say is what's very important about this is that we can actually look at this in a positive way, because with this loss, Pereira definitely earns and deserves an immediate rematch. So they're going to rebook this fight in the next few months, maybe in 4 or 5 months, whatever it is. And what it does is it removes the option for John Jones to duck Aspinall. So what it does is it just solidifies the negotiating the negotiation for the UFC, and it's like, we cannot give you Pereira. He just lost. He needs to fight Ankalaev again. It's Aspinall or nothing. And so I'm kind of happy about this. It's like Pereira's going to get a shot at him again. If he wants to change his game plan and if he actually deserves to win, he can do it again. He'll have the opportunity to do so. And then it kind of forces John Jones to be like, I have no other option. It's Aspinall or I'm retiring. And I'm happy with this. I'm actually happy with this positioning. But I'll talk about the fight in one specific statistic that I want you guys to look at. And that's the significant strikes per target. And I don't know if you guys see this. I'm going to try to zoom in, but if you guys can see this, 11 significant strikes to the head to 36. That's the entire fight, right? You can look at the body, 30 for Ankalaev, 17 for Pereira. So 11 strikes throughout an entire 5-round fights to the head is not enough. It's really not enough. You see most of the significant strikes came from Pereira's side to the leg. It was leg strikes. And I don't know if they count the same as head strikes. You know what I mean? They are definitely great. Pereira's leg kicks are amazing, but are they the same value as a flush, punch to the face or a flush kick to the face? I don't think so. So when you look at significant strikes, even though they look kind of close, most of these significant strikes on Pereira's side was just leg kicks. And even though Ankalaev edged him on three, for 3 rounds, he had more significant strikes than Pereira. When you think about it, it even makes it crazier that most of Pereira's significant strikes were leg kicks either way. So that without the fact that, Ankalaev had like over 6 minutes of control time throughout the fight. So it's difficult for me to, look at this fight and be like, yeah, there's an argument for Pereira. I don't think so. I think 2, 3, and 4 were very clear for Ankalaev. And then you can even make an argument for 5, even though, Pereira has some great shots in the 5th round. Ankalaev had some control time as well. So, usually I would give it to Pereira, that 5th round, but judging sometimes they do definitely benefits. And they show a lot of love to guys that have a lot of control time. That's usually how they judge MMA fights. So, but definitely 2, 3, and 4 to me are clear. So I don't know. Pereira didn't look the same. I think his game plan overall was pretty obvious and it wasn't enough. You know what I mean? His game plan was kick the leg and then stuff takedowns. But that game plan in itself isn't enough to win a fight. I feel like those are defensive mechanisms. You know what I mean? If, leg kicks should be used to hide other combinations. Leg kicks should be used. Obviously, you can damage with legs, but it's like you need to use legs for the fighter, for your opponent to be worried about it and then come up with something else. And defending takedowns in itself as well. He was super worried on the back foot the entire fight. It makes for a defensive version of Pereira, which is not the best version of himself. The best version of Pereira is when he's walking forward, not worried about nothing coming his way, and just, walking you down. And that wasn't the type of Pereira we saw on Saturday night. And I think that's because his game plan was kind of off. It wasn't the best type of game plan. You can't come in with a defensive mentality. I think offense creates defense. Offense, creates fear in your opponent. And that's what you need to focus on, especially a guy like Pereira. So, yeah, if he comes into the rematch, he needs to be focused more on his own offense. What can you land? What can you do damage with? Not what can you defend? What, how to stuff the takedowns or, he's done a great job at that already. So he can be, I think the rematch should be a little bit more interesting because he knows now that he can defend takedowns. So he can apply his own offense and do more pressure, come up with more pressure and do more damage. So it's going to be interesting to see. But once again, a very great card, UFC 313. I fairly enjoy it. You can let me know, what you guys think about, who won the main event and what you guys thought overall on the pay-per-view. I thought it was really interesting. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments. And once again, thank you so much for all the support. I truly appreciate it, boys. Thank you.